There's a type of person you probably know well, maybe because you are that person. He is someone who has always seen the world differently, who thinks more deeply than most, who feels more than he can explain, who observes details that no one else notices, who has conversations in his head richer than any real conversation you've ever had, who reads between the lines, who feels the weight of things before they happen, who is bothered by superficiality in a way that other people simply aren't bothered by. This type of person grows up feeling out of place, not necessarily rejected, but out of place, as if they were born in a place that wasn't made for them, as if the pace of the world is too fast for the things that matter and too slow for the things they need. And this feeling of being different became a story she tells herself. I just operate in a way that most people don't understand. My path is more complex than other people's. I have potential. I just haven't found my time yet. But now I need to tell you something. And I need you to listen honestly, not defensively. Perhaps you like to think you're behind because your mind is sharp. But perhaps the truth is simpler and harder to accept. Your attention span is weak. Not their intelligence, not their essence, not their potential. Your attention. And while your attention is weak, any distraction controls your life. Any notification diverts you. Any discomfort makes you stop. Any cheap stimulus steals the time that could have been yours. A rare mind with weak attention spans doesn't become destiny. It becomes waste. If you're watching from anywhere in the United States, comment below with your city or state. I want to know where the people watching this channel are from. And if you're not already subscribed, subscribe now. This kind of content doesn't appear in your feed by accident. I know how your day starts. The alarm clock rings. Or it doesn't even ring because you've already woken up before it with that dull, nameless anxiety. And in less than 30 seconds, before you're even aware of your own body, your hand has already reached for your cell phone. Not because you decided to, because your brain was trained to do so. You open Instagram, or TikTok, or YouTube, or you start replying to messages. 15 minutes later, you don't even know what you were doing anymore. Your mind has already been hijacked by the flow of stimuli, and the morning, which was the moment of greatest clarity and energy of your day, is gone without a trace. You get up. You drink coffee, thinking about everything you need to do. You feel the weight of another day that will pass without you making any progress. And at some point this morning, you think, today I'm gonna change. Today will be different. And he believes it, truly. But then afternoon arrives and you're stuck in the same loop. You've joined another video, you've spent more time on social media than you planned. You started something and stopped halfway through because it got difficult or boring. And night falls with that familiar feeling of guilt mixed with exhaustion. You think a lot. You plan a lot. You feel a lot. But you execute little. And that distance between what you think you are and what your routine shows you to be, that distance is where your life is being wasted. Now, I need to ask you something direct. If you are so profound, so sensitive, so different, why is your routine so shallow? There's a specific trap that catches exactly the people who feel the most profound, and it's elegant enough to seem legitimate. It's the trap of using one's own complexity as a justification for inaction. I overthink. I operate in a different way. I'm still figuring it out. My path is slower, but it is deeper. I need clarity before I begin. These phrases can also be the most comfortable hiding place an anxious mind has ever built. Because while you're figuring things out, the weeks go by. While you're waiting for clarity, the months go by. While you are processing, other people are executing imperfect things and learning from them. And the difference between you and those people isn't intelligence. It's that they learned to act even without having everything figured out in their heads. Listen carefully. Thinking about change is not the same as changing. Understanding your problem is not the same as solving it. If you know what you need to do and still don't do it, the problem isn't a lack of information. It's not a lack of intelligence. It's not your complex personality. It's weak attention span, lack of practice, and an escape from discomfort disguised as depth. This is not a judgment. It's a diagnosis. Because when you understand what's really happening, you stop sabotaging yourself with pretty stories and start working with what's real. And the truth is that your attention has been trained over the years to run away whenever something gets difficult. And this can be unlearned, but only if you stop using your depth as an excuse and start using it as fuel. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. You already know you spend too much time on your phone. I don't need to convince you of that. But what you may not have realized yet is what that time really costs. Not in hours, in capacity. Every time you open a short video, your mind receives a dopamine rush. Small, quick, easy. It likes it. It repeats. It asks for more. And gradually, without you realizing it, your brain recalibrates what it considers stimulating. Silence becomes unbearable. Boredom becomes unbearable. Effort becomes painful. Long tasks become almost impossible. Not because you're weak, but because your mind has literally been trained to run away from all of this. Your cell phone didn't just steal your time, it trained your brain to be unable to tolerate any process that takes long enough to produce real results. And real results always take long enough to become uncomfortable in the process. You say you want a deep life, but you feed your mind shallow stimulation all day long. This isn't moral inconsistency, it's a problem of training. Your brain repeats what it's been trained to repeat. If it's been trained to run away from what's difficult, it will run away even from things that could change your life. And in the United States, especially for those trying to move up from where they are, this is a huge problem because the system was built precisely to keep you consuming. Every platform, every app, every feed was designed by brilliant engineers whose sole purpose is to suck your attention for as long as possible. They're not distracting you by accident. They're distracting you on purpose, with science, with data, with billions of dollars invested in it. And you're trying to resist all of that with sheer willpower. It won't work. It's never worked for anyone. But there is a way, and it's simpler than you think. Since you've made it this far, leave a like on the video and comment one thing. What's the distraction that steals your attention the most every day? Your cell phone, TV series, social media? Comment here. It helps me understand you better. Here, I need to be very direct, because this point is what separates a generic self-help video from an honest conversation. Those born into wealth, a support network, a structured family, and access to opportunities can afford to make mistakes for longer. They can waste years being distracted. They can go down the wrong path and be rescued. They have leeway. But those who don't have that, those who grew up with little, those who live with little, those who work hard for the little they have, that person doesn't have the same margin for error. And in the United States, inequality is real and brutal for those at the bottom. You pay a higher price for mistakes. You have fewer chances of recovery. You have less time to figure things out through trial and error. What does this mean in practice? It means that every hour you give to distraction is an hour you can't get back. Not just today, but accumulated over months and years. The person who spends 3 hours a day on their cell phone and then says they don't have time to study, to improve their skills, to learn something new, that person isn't short on time. They're giving their time to platforms that won't pay their bills. The person who sleeps poorly because they stayed up late on their phone and then blames their lack of productivity on a lack of energy, that person isn't lacking energy. They are wasting energy on purpose without realizing it. The person who consumes motivational, personal development, finance, and productivity content, but doesn't change their surrounding environment, doesn't uninstall the app, doesn't put their phone in another room, doesn't block out time, that person is using the content as a substitute for change.
As if watching were the same as doing, and it isn't. For those born with limited resources, focus is not a luxury. Focus is survival. Each day without focus seems small, but added up over years, it becomes the life you swear you never chose. And the life you never chose, but built, block by block, decision by decision, wasted hour by wasted hour. I'm going to tell you something you probably don't want to hear, but need to. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another inspirational video. You don't need another podcast, another book, another promise that everything will change when you finally find yourself. You need a simple system that your brain can repeat even on days when you're tired, unmotivated, and life is weighing you down. Because willpower is finite. It runs out. It fails on difficult days, which are precisely the days that matter most. But a system doesn't depend on you being motivated. It only needs you to have reduced friction enough for the behavior to happen almost automatically.
And the beginning of any system has to be ridiculously simple. Simple to the point of seeming idiotic. Because your brain, which has been trained by distraction for years, won't be able to jump into a warrior's routine overnight. It needs small victories first. It needs proof that it can still obey. For 7 days, do only this. For the first 30 minutes after you wake up, don't touch your cell phone. Not as a permanent rule, just for 30 minutes. Let your brain wake up without external stimuli first.
Before consuming any content, any video, any post, complete a task. It can be small. It could be washing the dishes, answering an important email, writing a paragraph. But it has to be something you chose, not something that chose you. Once a day, spend 25 minutes focusing on a single thing. Put your phone across the room, silence notifications, and do only one task. When the urge to distract yourself arises, and it will, acknowledge it and continue anyway. That's the training. Go to bed 30 minutes earlier than you are going to now. Just 30 minutes. Poor sleep destroys attention regulation, destroys discipline, destroys decision-making. You won't accomplish anything when you're tired. At night, write a simple sentence. Where was my attention stolen today? Not as punishment, as a reflection, because you can't change what you can't see. Choose one main distraction to reduce this week. Don't eliminate everything, just one. It could be less time on a specific social media platform, or it could be stopping checking your phone at a certain time. One thing. And finally, finish one small thing each day before starting another. The feeling of finishing trains the brain to continue. The feeling of abandoning something halfway through trains the brain to abandon it again. 7 days. Not to fix your entire life. To prove to yourself that your mind can still obey. Because when you prove it to yourself once, the game changes. This version still consumes content about change without changing. It still feels it has something special inside it, but hasn't yet found the right time to show it. It still blames its family, the past, the system, the lack of opportunity. It still wakes up every January 1st with the feeling that this is going to be the year. It still goes to sleep every December 31st with the feeling that time has passed too quickly. This version isn't stupid. It's not evil. It's not lazy in the simplest sense of the word. She is someone who never learned to protect her own attention, who trained her mind to escape for so long that escaping became the norm, who had a mind capable of extraordinary things, but surrendered that mind,
block by block, hour by hour, to the flow of cheap stimuli. And that is the quietest tragedy there is. Not the noisy failure, not the obvious defeat, but the life that slipped away while you watched. The version of you that existed as a possibility and was dying of boredom, waiting for the perfect conditions that never arrived. The greatest danger is not being ordinary. The greatest danger is having a rare mind and dying, living as someone controlled by any cheap stimulus. But I'm not saying this to throw you into despair. I'm saying this to create real urgency. The kind of urgency that doesn't come from motivational speeches. It comes from clearly seeing what's happening and deciding that today, not tomorrow, not Monday, not at the beginning of the month, but today, you're going to do something different. Because every day that passes without change is not a neutral day.
It's a day that reinforces the wrong pattern even further. And you have fewer days than you think to change what is being built now. I want to finish with what matters most. You don't need to prove to anyone that you're rare. You don't need anyone to recognize your depth. You don't need to wait for the world to understand how you work. You need only one thing: obedient attention. Because when your attention starts to obey, everything changes. Not overnight, not in a dramatic, cinematic way, but in a real, accumulated, compounded way. The task you finish today becomes proof that you can finish it tomorrow. The 30 minutes of focus today become 45 tomorrow. The distraction you refuse today becomes a muscle that gets stronger every time you say no. And gradually, the life that is being built begins to resemble the life that exists within you as a possibility. Not because you were lucky, not because the conditions finally fell into place, but because you decided that control of your attention was yours.
And you went about reclaiming it, piece by piece, day by day. You don't need a special personality. You need attention that obeys. Because when your attention returns to your hands, your life also begins to return. Now, do me a favor. Comment below with a simple sentence: I will regain my focus. Not as empty motivation, as a commitment, as the first act of a mind that decided to stop watching its own life slip away and began to command its own attention again. Leave a like if this video reached its intended audience. Not for me, but because the like tells the algorithm that this type of content matters and more people who need to hear it will find it. And watch the video that's playing on the screen now. It picks up exactly where we left off, with another truth you probably haven't told yourself yet. Go for it. You're on the right track.